Recording in progress.
So this is the one. Now you can see expansions of Aryans in India, then Vedic period, religious and philosophic literature. If you see this, religion and philosophic literature. Transformation from Rigvedic period to later Vedic period. How the society, religion, economy, all those aspects, how transformation took place. And political, social, economic life, significance of Vedic age, evolution of monarchy, that is polity and Varna system society. If you observe here, religion, now almost all historic institutions, this is where it differs from the prehistoric period. In prehistoric period, this political life, social life, economic life, we cannot easily understand. But from Vedic period onwards, we have some written records to understand and read it. Whether it is true or not true, it's a secondary, but at least we have some reference to read, understand them. And that's why from Vedic period onwards, we see these institutions, political institution, social, economic, religious, all these things. This is exactly given in the syllabus and we have to follow this. Expansions of Aryans in India means the geography part. In which geographic location Aryans or Vedic people came and settled. Before that, you first draw India map. All of you draw India map. And here you need to give little weight, not only India, somewhat Central Asia also, West Asia also. India, Tropic of Cancer, 23 and off. This make tropical, subtropical, and if we go beyond 45 degrees, this is temperate zone. Iran, Turkey, this is Indian subcontinent. Draw this one. Particularly to understand Vedic people, understanding geography is also very crucial, because this is the only key from which location Aryans came. Draw this one. In modern India, when Asiatic Society of Bengal was established, in 1784, Asiatic Society of Bengal, William Jones, when Supreme Court of Fort William was established by Pitt's India Act, these people, some of the people came as judges. William Jones also one of the judges. Now these are the judges, and from Kolkata they are operating, but they are in India. They came from England. Their way of jurisprudence or justice system different. When they came here, they have to understand what is the judging or judicial system of the existing times. By that time, even Mughals also, they were dealing Hindus with a separate Hindu law, Muslims with separate Muslim law. So likewise, different religions have their own different justice system. That's why when they came here, they started understanding about India. Now, what is the best source to understand about the past of India is to take out all the literary works of India, and they started reading it. They started the most popular books like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, and Kalidasa's, and they started translating them from Sanskrit to other languages also. Likewise, many Sanskrit texts of Indian subcontinent got translated. Now, in the process, what happened? The terminology that is there in Sanskrit, the terminology that was there, these Britishers, when it comes to British, English language, here Greek language, then Latin, they understood that there is some kind of commonality with Sanskrit, Iranian language, Greek, Latin, English. So they felt that earlier they were completely thinking that these people are completely different, these people are completely different. But now when they start reading this, they are finding some kind of common terminology. For example, mother, father, example, matra and pitru. So some kind of closeness. That is language wise, there is some kind of affinity. That means either these people must have gone there, or these people might have migrated to here. And somewhere all these are indicating that they did not come from this or this, but somewhere in the middle part. So from there, they started coming or migrating to this side also, this side also. And due with various inscriptions and some texts, they started comparing and started understanding that there is some kind of commonality here, and this commonality made this is Indo. They started reading the Vedas also, and some scholars considered Vedas are the oldest surviving masterpiece of humanity itself. This is India, this is Europe, and they started calling these languages like Sanskrit, Greek, Latin, English, Indo-European languages, combination of both. Indo-European languages. Right up to here. Then step by step we will move on. British did not give. Already it is there. They started understanding it. Because since ancient times, Mughal period, before Delhi Sultanate, before that, so much Sanskrit literature is there. Like Prakrit, Pali, Sanskrit. How did they know? No, already it is there. Already whatever people are speaking, Hindustanis, that time they were calling like Hindus, Hindustani languages, many languages. One of the languages is Sanskrit. They know it. And we were also calling it as Sanskrit only. Just right up to here. Okay, done. Now, they started understanding now the timeline. When it comes to timeline, this is the most crucial part when it comes to timeline. Those who ever read Vedas and associated Vedic literature, literature means Vedic literature, Vedas, only this is the only way to understand these people. Rigved and other Veda, Sam, Yajur, Atharva Ved. Later associated Vedic like Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Upanishads. Apart from that, epics, Mahabharat, Ramayana, on top of it, Puranas. If you read these, you will understand about life of Aryans or Vedic people. But is it history? That is the debatable issue. Whatever they are writing, because these people who ever composed, they are not historians in the modern sense. They were praising the gods. They were religious people and they were showing some kind of gratitude towards the nature, and out of that respect they started composing some praisings to the gods. Their intention is not to record any history. That's why, but only problem to reconstruct our history from the modern sense, we don't have any other resource except these resources. But when they were writing, their intention was not to record any history. Social beliefs, religious beliefs, philosophical thoughts, all those were started composing and they started recording it. Now, it is the job of historian to understand what is mythical one, what is the reality. As this is the only existing source and they started understanding it. According to this literature, when it comes to timeline, their understanding is in the form of cycles, They called these cycles as yugas. Krita Yug, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali Yuga. This was asked in prelims also. What are the 4 yugas according to the Vedic cycle? Right up to here. Yes. This is as a counter to the modern argument that when we were colonized, they started degrading Indian past or Indian way of life. And as a counter, because British, when they came here, Christian missionaries also came, and they started attacking the existing evils of the Indian society. The educated Indians, they started countering that. Actually, because of that countering in that process, much broader term Hindu became very much narrow sized. And this is one of the criticism of our own Indians also. Because there was no term called religion. It is generally dharma. When it comes to ancient and even up to modern times also, it was called dharma. Dharma changes from one person to the other person, one stage of life to the other stage of life. Occupation also changes. When you are a student, one kind of dharma. When you are a householder, one kind of dharma. When you enter into politics or the administrators, a different kind of dharma. There is no specific term called religion. But when British colonized and they started segregating that this is Hindu religion, this is Muslim, and this is. Already different kinds of parameters were there for Christianity and Islam. Like there is one prophet, and prophet gives one different teachings, and people started following, whether it is Jesus or after that Prophet Muhammad. But when it comes, they started looking in the same kind of prism. This is what, suppose if we are historians, we will try to understand Harappans and before Harappan from the understanding of present day. Similarly, these people also, there was one person called James Mill, and he has written about history of India, and he is the one who started communalization of the history. History of India, I will give you the exact name. Exactly. This is geographic term. That's why to understand it, we need to understand our geography very well. The history of British India. The history of British India in 1817. Okay, written? Then, when it comes to Asiatic Society of Bengal, just you mention that also. 1784. Actually, our ancient India and modern India go together. Whatever we understand about ancient India, it is because of the existing scenario in the British time period. That's why up to here, our understanding will go. We have to continue from this line. You have written up to here. We are in 2023. In 2023, if we look back into our past, we are looking our past in a different way. Because in 1921, Indus Valley civilization, and after 1940s, archaeology, modern technology and science, it helped to understand about our past in a different perspective. We are living here. What about those people who are living at this point of time? For them, the past appeared in a different way. We are looking in a different way. That is why, and now, 1757. Those who are looking from 1757 backward, it appears in a different way. And in between, in 1875, Arya Samaj, Swami Dayanand Saraswati. So what he said, go back to Vedas. According to the people who are living at this point of time, for them, history starts with this period. This is the beginning point of Indian history. This is where Indians started chronicalizing or recording their whatever socio-political economic institution, they started coming from there. And according to them, this is the beginning. That's why he called Vedas Rock of Ages. Rock of Ages means it is the birthplace of age itself, the timeline itself. Because they were reading these things. Those people don't have Satish Chandra, people don't have Romila Thapar, no Upinder Singh, no archaeological evidence, no Mortimer Wheeler, no James. Okay? That's why they looked back in a different way. But for us, it appears in a different way. For them, Indian history means Krita Yug, Treta Yug, Dwapar Yug, Kali Yug. But what is the timeline of this? Which year? Now those who are following the modern timeline, 1757, 1921, then 1000, then before that, what is the beginning? What number you will give? Today we are giving this number, today's time is 2023. But Rock of Ages you are saying fine, but what is the number you give to that? There is no answer. Exactly. So there is no number associated with this. This problem is solved gradually by the archaeology, modern historians. They started comparing the text, whatever this life they are mentioning, they started comparing with the life of these people also, the life of these people also. They started comparing some kind of affinity. They started looking, these language words are somewhat common. And they started looking the life like copper, bronze, the terminologies, horses. Then their literature also describing these terminologies. Now archaeology is giving the evidence that copper for the first time used by human beings, but it cannot be before 10,000 BC. It started after 10,000 BC. So this is where historians started giving some kind of numbers even to these Vedas also. In 1940s, 1950s, new archaeological evidence gave Indian history is there even much before Vedas also. And 1921 Indus Valley civilization proved that our civilization did not start with Vedas, it started much before that. Thousands of years before Vedas itself, our history started. You write up to here, then we will move on. Timeline. Yes, as the more and more evidence comes, now our history started moved backward. And it is a proud moment for India also, that our history not started here even much before that. Note down this. Written, Sanju? Written up to here? Fine. Now you see this. This is exactly the history of British India given by James Mill. He understood our history. For Arya Samaj, Dayananda Saraswati, it looked a different way. Balagangadhar Tilak in a different way. Lala Lajpat Rai different way. The British colonialists, they see in a different way, and they started, after reading these things, in 1871, in 1817, he gave history in this format. He gave James Mill categorization. He called modern period as British India, British past, then Muslim past, Hindu past. So he oversimplified this. Oversimplified it, and he communalized. And he projected the entire ancient India is Hindu India, entire medieval India is Muslim India, and the modern he did not call Christian India. You observe this. He called Muslim India Hindu India, but he did not call Christian India. So that means he is trying to portray that this time period is secular time period and these two are communal periods. Because it served their purpose and they were living, growing in a different kind of atmosphere. We are in 1817. James Mill, he has written this book in 1817. That means he has given this book, but he was doing research in 1800s onwards, 1810s, before that also. Now when he was doing, he definitely influenced by 1789 French Revolution. French Revolution attacked this religion and they were aiming for secular pattern of society. And naturally, this is going to affect him. And much before that, in 1783, American War of Independence, they also discarded and they started seeing state is different, religion is different. So these developments affected in 1817. And he oversimplified it by reading our history and he gave this. But unfortunately, we don't have this kind of systematic history. And now English education started. Macaulay in 1830s. And those who are given this education, they were taught in the similar fashion. And these people later became civil servants. These people became historians. These people became scholars, professors. Suppose we are following one kind of education. Education policy in 1980s also one education policy was there. And today also we are talking about a new education policy. And entire one generation is designed by one type of education policy, 1986. And now whoever are going to study now, their complete vision is going to change based on present day education policy. Similarly, this generation's education policy is affected by this. And now when English educated people, definitely that influence will be there. But those who did not undergo this process, they were influenced by this system. Similarly, when it comes to Hindu, this was the origin. When it comes to Muslim, different set of books are there. When it comes to other religions, different set of books are there. So this, when it comes to Indians, we don't have like the modern way of education. Our way of education was completely different in ancient time. That's why these different ideas, they started conflicting after a certain period of time. And by 1870s and 1890s, similarly Hindus also, Muslims also, Parsis also, every other got trained in this kind of system. This created communal tensions and this became important foundation for the Pakistan movement also and later partition of India. That's why we need to understand, before understanding this part, in those circumstances only, in 1880s, Max Muller gave these ideals. You write Max Muller. He is German, but he was a professor in United Kingdom. Is it? But he has written so many books. I am giving the book, The Sacred Books of the East. He has written this, the Sacred Books of the East. Oh, exactly. Exactly, that is what. James Mill also, he has given his book according to whatever he wants to say. Exactly. So he has written 50 volumes, not one or two. Because we don't have this kind of systematic study by the Indians. That's why Indians also started reading the same books. And when it comes to Vedas, even though compiled in 1500 BC or 1000 BC, they were written down later. We don't know the exact the time of when they were actually written down. It was there in the form of oral ideas, but exactly written by the Indian, we don't know exact time. And in fact, the master copies, whatever Vedas that are surviving today, the earliest surviving monument is this manuscript is 11th century one. That means 1100s or thousands. Before 1000, we don't have any like written record. And by that time, so many additions, deletes, many things might have happened. And properly not discovered also. That's why by 19th century, in this atmosphere only, Indians also started collecting and reorganizing it. In 19th century, because many movements are going on, socio-religious reform movements are going on. Naturally, some people are attacking the social evils, some people are, they really wanted to know what exactly Vedas are saying. That's why even Raja Ram Mohan Roy also, he directly read Upanishads and he started interpreting in a different way. Swami Dayananda Saraswati, he has given in a different way. On top of it, we have some evils like caste system, untouchability, Shudra, and this has already given some kind of schism also. And when Swami Dayananda Saraswati was here, earlier it was near Bombay and later shifted to Lahore, and here Jyotiba Phule. From Maharashtra, and he was working for the downtrodden society. Gulamgiri also he has written. Now they were not only fighting against the British, they were fighting with the evils within India also. And one of the evils is the Vedic, the Varna system, Dasa and Dasyus. Dasa and Dasyus. At that time there was no Indus Valley civilization. Whatever they learned, Dasa and Dasyus, slavery, untouchability, Chandala, the term. And they are fighting against our own systems. Naturally, those who are fighting against Vedic evils, they take the recourse of European books. And that's why you will observe in South India, English education is more popular comparing with Northern Gangetic Belt. Because it is mostly impacted by the English education, and those who are fighting against the Indian evils, they took the recourse of Western books because it appealed to them, comparing with our own Vedic, because it is propagating some evils which is going against the principles of humanity. As a result, they were also fighting against the evils of Vedic. And naturally, you will find the counter to all also, that really you are misinterpreting it, this is the real interpretation they try to give. So this way in 19th century, he also active in 1870s. He is also active in 1870s. In 19th century, actually the real redesigning of entire Vedic period started. Otherwise, we don't know exactly the timeline also. Very broad, vague idea about when Vedas started, when Vedic happened. Only the timeline understanding is Krita Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, but really we don't know what is the timeline. But to understand modern history, we need these numbers, exactly in which year that happened. And now, by this time period, new archaeological evidences, new carbon dating methods, uranium, thorium methods, thermoluminescence methods, many things came, and these historians also started comparing the languages of the other areas also. Like this is the language of Sanskrit. They find some kind of affinity with Iranian language and other languages also, and they started comparing what timeline suits these things. Now you write this. From Greek, one text reference. From Iran, one text reference. And from this region, one text reference. This one. So we are reconstructing the history, reconstructing the Vedic timeline. and rough estimate for the first time given by Max Muller. According to him, probably around 1200 BC, these Vedas must have been written. Because he has, and it is very ironical that without visiting even once to India, he wrote 50 volumes about India. He did not even once also visited, but he wrote these many books. And how he can write? Only by reading the books of Sanskrit language. So this is how he gave, after reading all of them, the kind of language used by the Sanskrit and the evolution of language, they come to understanding that possibility is there. So they are living in a different atmosphere. For a different point of view, they are writing. It naturally affects. Exactly. So we were not even treated equally also. So this is what the modern scholars, Indian educated people, started countering whatever they are saying. And we also started adopting the modern sense of history, historiography. Now this sacred books of East, let me, almost he has written from, give this timeline also. It's a 50 volume, that means it is not going to be written in 1 year. It's a continuous process, almost published from 1879 to 1910. Almost 30 years. So he was doing research and he was continuously publishing in this time period, now 1879 to 1910. And there is one more person, V.A. Smith. V.A. Smith, this is one person. So James Mill, this is 1817. Now after 50-60 years, more advancement, and in between what happened? Karl Marx also. Do you know Karl Marx when he has given Das Kapital? Das Kapital, Communist Manifesto. This is in 1850s. I will give the timeline. (1848). So Das Kapital, he started printing from 1860s, 80s and up to 1890s. Like 50 volumes, Das Kapital came in 3 volumes, different volumes in different. Now this is where the history, to understand actually our own past, we have to understand this modern India also. Because whatever we reconstructed our past, it is through this prism. Without knowing this prism, we cannot really understand our past. And now, these people, those who are degrading the Indian, those people who believe in the colonial ideology, colonialist view, and those who countered this, when they are degrading every institution, and obviously you see the reaction from the Indians, nationalist view. And when they degraded past of Vedas, Vedic life, nationalists countered it. But while they are countering in this process, they discarded our own Indian social evils. Like the lower sections, women, untouchables, Shudras, Varna system, Sati practices. These evils are there. And those people who exclusively focused on this area, and now they are going to counter nationalist view also, they are going to counter colonialist view also. And that's where Marxist, they have seen in the prism of economic angle, and exclusively these people subaltern. So this is how our history evolved over a period of time. And there was a question also, explain about the historiography, evolution of history. You write up to here, then I will give you the question, you write this. Sanju, you write up to here. Because understanding these people are crucial to understand our own ancient history. In fact, we are seeing our own history through their eyes. Marxist, they see everything in economic angle. And these people see economic also, social also, religious also, all those angles. Yes, Rajitarangini. Rajitarangini is one of the historical sources. You have read in 11th century, 12th century, Kashmir Rajitarangini is also there. In one sense, that is the beginning of, or you can say in a modern sense. Rajitarangini is considered as the first book which chronicalized. First this happened, next this incident happened, this incident happened. But again, at that time, there was no clarity about these numbers. Exaggeration is also there, and he started his book from the legends only again. Gods gave some kind of mandate to the kings to rule. Same is the case with many. That is what? We cannot judge our own ancient people with our modern sense. Society keep on changing. Ancient people have recorded whatever they know according to their social conditions. Medieval period people have recorded their social history in a different way according to their view. And now in our modern view, these many things are happening and these many people are changing their history. That's why there is even one saying that there is no single history for our humanity. There are as many histories as many historians. So if there are 10 historians, that means we have 10 histories. And if we have 100 historians, that means 100 types of histories. There is no single history. And this is what exactly happening with our. That's why to understand our own ancient India, we have to understand in which context they are reinterpreting our ancient past. Through that prism only we have to see this. And as of now, up to here, 1900, we don't have any archaeological evidences, if you observe it. They are all depending on the works of these languages. No archaeology, no Indus Valley civilization up to 1920s. More evidence came only after 1940s, 1950s, and gradually changing. After the evidence of archaeology, they started understanding in a different view again. Archaeologists started looking for all these great things happened in Vedic, but is there any archaeological survival monuments or anything? But if they started digging out, they found only PGW's type of pottery, and not the way they were describing in the Vedas. So this is how, from Indian perspective, also started gradually changing once archaeology also came. Right up to here, then we will move on to the next part. Written? Now timeline you give. Now this is what, finally after understanding all this, did I give you V.A. Smith? This another historian like Dash Capital we have written. Karl Marx. So in the reconstruction of our history, you remember James Mill, one person who communalized. Then Karl Marx, he gave economic twist. So according to Karl Marx, history is always like the strong peoples always oppressed the lower people. And if you want to change this, the lower section has to rise, revolt violently. That became main cause of violence in many parts of the world later. And Max Muller, he started so many things about, as a result of his work, the Sanskrit terminologies, there were so many Sanskrit works, Iranian works and other European works started comparing. Some kind of commonality came out. Now there was one more person with respect to history. His name is V.A. Smith. Vincent Arthur Smith. So this is Karl Marx. Vincent Arthur Smith. He has written a book, The Early History of India. The Early History of India. So it was published in 1910s. Early History of India. He tried to chronicleize the events, like these events happened in this format. But what is the most problem of his issue is, now if it is a book, most part of the book he explained about Alexander, because he is also European and he started glorifying Alexander in most part of his work. In other way, how this helped Indian history means, his explanation helped in reconstruction of Indian. Because the way he is explaining about Alexander conquest and the timeline, Chandrakotas, so whatever in the reconstruction of Mauryan history. Because all these helped. They criticized according to their perspective, but we Indians have taken from their works and we also started arranging our own history in order. Till the time Brahmi script was deciphered, we don't know our inscription. These inscriptions are given by Ashoka only. Till the time Indus Valley discovered, we don't know that Indians were living in urban areas much before Europeans lived. That's why their contribution also helped us in the reconstruction of our own history. This is where these people are important in the reconstruction of history. And finally, around independence time period, A.L. Basham. A.L. Basham. What is his book? The Wonder That Was India. Okay, The Wonder That Was India. He is British only, 1954 this came. If you want, just a second, I'll give. Okay, Middle East. So he is English. Now you see how the histories keep on changing. 1817, James Mill. 1840s, Karl Marx. 1890s, Max Muller. V.A. Smith. 1910s and 1950s, A.L. Basham. And now you see complete degradation of Indian history to the wonder that was India. So this person is saying it is wonder, and this person said communal. Changing. Now many of his students later became historians. Like, so for example, Romila Thapar, she was also one of his students. 1950s and post-independence historians, they take inspiration from L. Basham. And similarly, those people who are living here, they take inspiration from Karl Marx. Those people who are living here, they take inspiration from the previous generation. So that's why now those who are writing history now, they take inspiration from Romila Thapar or Satish Chandra, Irfan Habib. For example, Koshambi, D.D. Koshambi, he completely altered the course of Indian history in the Karl Marx view. D.D. Koshambi is a pioneer in giving Indian twist to the Karl Marx view. He used to say living prehistory. So that's what they started giving Indian view to our own history. This is how to understand our own past, we need to understand these developments. So whatever we understand about our past, it's through their eyes. And as the times are changing, the prism is also changing, and the way we look at past also keep on changing. From communal to the most secular time. And this is where our own historians also started highlighting. When they said Indians don't know republic, then we started saying, much before you know about politics, we know republics. And when they say Indians don't know civilization, then we started countering, much before you lived in houses, we were living in urban areas. So likewise, we got so much evidence and we got so many weapons in our hand to counter their point of view. And this is a continuous process. It will not stop in 1950s or 1970s or 2023. By 2050, you will see some other point of views. By next 100 years, you are going to see. That's why our history will keep on change. At this moment, whatever most accepted, we are going to write. You remember this. Now, at this point of time, write one question. Sanju, up to here clear? Fine. Now you write this question. Have you written this timeline also? Give this timeline also. This will help you now. Capitalist. It happens. So that's where the countering will come. Hmm. That's why, under their circumstances, they have given one point of view. We cannot literally follow what they are saying. We have to see in which context they are saying that. Hmm. Yeah. Every individual is different. That's why. Now you write this one question. So whenever I am giving you the question, you write in this way. And this will help you understand this. Discuss the changing approaches to the study of early Indian history. Getting some idea? So you have to keep on giving these names. You can simply say colonialist view, nationalist view, and Karl Marxist view. Where is this? Colonialist view, nationalist view, Marxist view, subaltern view. You can mention them, but in each and every stage, you have to keep giving. We will go, as we go on, you will completely get the list. Subaltern view. Nationalist view, some historians, like R.G. Bhandarkar. As we go on, you will get this, because it is a continuous process. Throughout our ancient past, while now we are at the stage of Vedic period, whatever is relevant for Vedic period, I am giving this. And now as we move to the Gupta period, now these people, they started viewing completely, they discarded in ancient past completely. They used to say some parts of Indian history is dark periods. And nationalists, they started highlighting, we have golden periods. When they say dark period, and they started saying we have golden period. Now these two people started, you have golden period for rich people only, you have dark period, and we have dark period for almost everything for the poor people. Now this is golden period. They used to say there is no golden past, golden past is yet to come. Golden future should be there in the future. Oh, this is how, because these views keep on changing. At the Vedic stage, I am giving you these people names because through their prism, we started reconstructing our Vedic past. Clear? Sanju, up to here clear? Now, let us understand. Based on this understanding, we got some timeline for our own Vedas. And now these you write down. Broadly, you give this one. Just small India map you give. Which one? This question came in 2006. 2006 question, this one. Now you give this India. This one. Europe. Here, Greek, Iran, India. From our region, Rig Veda. Timeline is given 1500 BCE. Indo-Aryans or Indo-Europeans. These people migrated toward this, and from here also like this. Central Asian theory. Once these people came here, their language, linguistic terminology appeared here also, here also, here also. But the surviving texts are Rig Veda from this side. From Iranian side, Jend Avesta. The timeline given to this is roughly attributed to 1400 BC. And from the Greek side, the epic Homer's Iliad. Troy movie, if you know Troy movie, that was based on this. Iliad and Odyssey. And this was given around 900 to 800 BC. No, it's not that like that. There are people who believe here. That's why in the initial days when Asiatic Society of Bengal, Orientalism gained popularity. They wanted to know more about India, Indian way of life. They appreciated it. Oriental, that's what. Gradually, those who do not like that, they started perpetrating in a different picture. Orientalism is good, but despotism also came. Karl Marx said Asiatic mode of production. So all these things will come as they interpret in a different way. Okay. Yes, some legends also, that's why. Now this is Odyssey, is almost 900, 800 means this is the same timeline when Mahabharata war also took place in India. So this contemporary of Mahabharata. Rig Veda 1500, Jandavesta 1400, Odyssey, Iliad, Homer's work 900 to 800. Now these three texts have some kind of common words, common ideologies. Common philosophy. It is like a Rigvedic version of Iranian one. They also praisings of gods. Like Mitra Varuna, you will find there also. Whatever gods, Rigvedic gods mentioned in here, you will find those similar versions in Janda Vesta. And if you observe this, the name Iran, so the name Iran also has some with the term Aryan, and later it changed to Iran. So that is why all these they started comparing the terminologies terms like mother, father here, matra, pritra. That means Greek and Sanskrit has some affinity. Iranian language, Janda Vesta and Rigveda, similar gods, similar type of philosophy, and terminology is also almost close. That means all these people have some kind of commonality. They gave this theory that probably from Central Asia they came. And there is one more reason why. This is one way of looking why all these people have some kind of common connection. There is another way also that why they are linking only to Central Asia. Why not to Africa then? We can also think that Africa is there below that. This area have connection with this. And similarly, if we go down, Africa also will have connection with all three. But why we are not giving the theory that they came from Africa? Possibility is that, and in fact, entire humanity migrated from Africa. And why can't you take that if you are believing that Aryans came from Central Asia, because of the geographic close proximity, this is Iran, this is India, and this part is Greece. So whatever books I have given this from this region, Iranian region, this region. Rigveda here, Janda Vesta here, and Homer's work is here. Now they are connecting to this common. And why can't they connect somewhere to this location? They might have come from here, and from there they went to this area and that area. And throughout history, our DNA analysis also saying Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, these people evolved from this part, not from this area. But here, the kind of geographical description they mentioned, the kind of trees, the kind of animals, the kind of climate they are mentioning in these works, it is closer to this temperate zones, not the tropical zone. That is why we are moving towards this side, not this side. If it is all tropical related animals, for example, when it comes to this area, tiger, elephants, rhinoceros are there. But in their works, mostly it appears horse. And when it comes to plants also, the kind of plants they describe, they generally grow in temperate, and moreover, they were defining mostly grasslands. And these grasslands are steppes. These grasslands and their lifestyle is pastoralism. Horse, cattle, they are depending on grass, and the kind of plants they are describing like soma plant and other type of plants, they grow in the temperate zone. And the kind of animals also, horse they often describe, but this horse is giving the evidence not in these places. The earliest evidence is going to this location. Earliest horse evidence. So that's why, based on all these texts and this geographical interpretation, that this is the common area, and from there they started migrating to different regions. Have this, just have some mention it. Sanju, just you mention. Like broadly you draw the picture, India side, Iran side, Greece, earliest horse evidence also, grasslands. The geography they are describing is this one. And it is not only about the Europeans they gave this. Indians also have given somewhat close to this. Now I will give those names also. So to understand our history, two things are very, very crucial. One is timeline, another one is geography. So geography is clear, timeline also some got clarity. Now depending on these readings, our own freedom fighters, like Balagangadhar Tilak also said, Aryans came from Tibet region. Sorry, Arctic region. Dayanand Saraswati said they came from Tibet region. And why Tibet is also cold area, Arctic also cold area? They did not say they came from Africa. Because it is a temperate zone, the kind of description Vedas and other Vedic literature is saying, depending on that, it is natural to interpret that they have more affinity with colder areas than the hot areas. So that's why this area is temperate. Comparing with these temperatures are low here. The kind of plants they grow here, they are natural describing. That's why they connected with this. The coniferous forest they mentioned in this area. So the colder temperate. Yes, the Varna system also the kind of description. So this is how we need to see geography wise also, timeline also. Just you mention this so that after mentioning that you underline. 2. Balagangadhar Tilak. He said Aryans came from Arctic region. Dayanand Saraswati said these people came from Tibet region. In bracket you give cold areas. Both are cold areas. Yes. Nationalist view. Now you have to see the counterpoint to the colonialist view. So in which circumstance they are writing this? Whether it is true or not, it depends on the archaeology. Whether did they come from that far on Tibet. So different people give in different interpretations. As the time changes, this interpretation will keep on changing. So based on all these things, broadly, we consider that timeline of Vedic period, it is not that Krita Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. We don't know what timeline they are talking. So for our historical point of view, we have two things. Early Vedic period This period is giving from 1500 BC to 1000 BC, and this is later Vedic period. It's not only about scriptures, it's also about archaeological point of view. Because in this part there is no iron, but in this part there is iron. The moment iron comes, that is around 1000 BC. It must be definitely around 1000 BC. And there were even efforts to say that someone said 1500 BC, someone said why not 4000 BC, 6000 BC. But they are mentioning iron. Iron means that is 1000 BC. And if we consider later Vedic is 1000, then maybe 400, 500 years we can consider Rig Veda. Not beyond 2000, 3000. Literature only. Between 400, between which one? Okay, what exact question? I'm not getting. Okay, okay. 1900 to 1500. Hmm. Hmm. Yes. Hmm. Okay. Oral transmission. Yes. No. Understood. Whatever you are saying, you are taking reference 1500 and you want to go at least 200 years, this tradition was there. But actually, whatever you are analyzing it, historians have taken 1200 as the reference. You understand? Now that's why they told 200 or 300 years backward, so probably 1500. So this is why they already Max Muller has explained that 1000 BC to somewhere you will find 600 BC, somewhere you will find 500 BC. So already they already analyzed it that way. They have taken the text from 600 BC onwards. We have textual reference, Buddhist text, Jaina text, and even the sutra literature also there. By 600 BC, Jainism, Buddhism, sutra. This sutra tradition is Vedic tradition. Dharma Sutra, Griha Sutra. So these are like, this is what Dharma. Like Jainism, Buddhism, religion can be attributed to single personality in the Indian context. Now the same tradition you can apply to Christianity also. You will apply the religion concept to one person, Jesus. In Islam also Prophet Muhammad. But when it comes to Vedic, you cannot apply to single personality. And this is where, when those people who want to give religion means there should be only one prophet, like that, this Vedic tradition will not fit in that. that is where how this happened as a counter to the existing opposition criticism. When you are continuously criticizing and you will try to find some other way to come out of it, and you will give your own interpretation to your own texts. Upanishads developed in 600 BC in their different circumstance. After 1000 years, Adi Shankaracharya also given commentaries to Upanishad in 600 or 700 AD in a different context. After 1800 AD, almost 1000 years after Shankaracharya, Raja Ram Mohan Rai have given, Vivekananda has given a different interpretation according to our own circumstances. Someone after 50 years in 2050, someone may come with some other idea. That's why this sutra literature, you cannot apply to any single personality. Many people compose this. And according to this literature, sutra around 600, this is associated with Vedas. That means later Vedic must be around 1000 and Rig Veda must be around 1200. And if we go back even 300 years also because of oral tradition, maximum we can give 1500 BC. So you want to give maximum might be 1800 somewhere. Expanded already, yes. Problem is, there is no standard. Exactly when this happened also we don't know. It's all rough estimates only. So this is what, you mentioned this. So 1500 onwards, this oral transmission itself started, and by 1000 BC, Vedic, and in fact, some later Rigvedic, during this period, one Veda was compiled, that is Rig Veda. And in this, later Vedic texts. Other three Vedas, around 600 BC, associated Vedic literature. And this Veda, Rig Veda, geographic location is Sapta Sindhva. Sapta Sindhva, Indus region, in simple term, later Vedic, Ganga. So Indus river here, Gangetic valley here. When this transformation takes place, in terms of polity, in terms of economy, in terms of society, in terms of religion. Okay? This transformation. So this is what UPSC or what is the syllabus? Expansions of Aryans in India. So we will Central Asia to Northwest and from Northwest to Gangetic Valley. Expansions of Aryans in India, that's one part. Vedic period, religious and philosophical literature, Rig Veda and next later Vedic. Transformation from Rig Vedic period to the later Vedic period. The transformation in the form of political, social and economic life. Significance of Vedic age, that means continuity of Vedic age in simple term. Evolution of monarchy and Varna system. Monarchy means political, Varna system means social. So if you remove this part, significance means continuity, just simply our syllabus is, we have to understand what was their polity, what was their society, what was their economic, what was their religion. Got it? So it's the simplified version of this structure is very common. Now just we will replace Aryans with Mauryans. Suppose then Mauryans also their polity, their society, their economy, their religion, their literature. So this is going to be very common phenomena. Aryans, this is. Mauryans, this one. Post-Mauryan, this one. Guptas, this one. From now onwards, you will find these historical institutions very clearly. How our political system is evolving, how our social system is evolving, economic system is keep on evolving. From now onwards, we have some references, text references also. When it comes to Aryans, along with text references, our archaeologists also try to understand through archaeological point of view. They found that the PGW pottery is somewhat close to this one. So this is what, with respect to understand Vedic period, this understanding is very much crucial. Sanju, clear? Is this clear up to here? Now, this is the only, up to now, whatever we have dealt when it comes to prehistory, Harappan civilization, and this connectivity. Somewhat a little bit critical in the entire history itself. Not only paper 1, including paper 2 also, you will not find, apart from this, you will not find anywhere difficulty. Because now onwards, this is going to be the common pattern. Now it's clear? So this is the common pattern from now onwards. Yeah. So that's why we have to focus on map pointing also. That's why UPSC is very much interested in knowing this prehistoric part. Exactly. So questions may come anywhere. Now I will give you the questions in Vedic period. You write this. Tomorrow, in this format, we are going to finish one by one. Okay? You write the questions. How PYQs are coming from Vedic period. (2021) 2021 question, write it. Do you consider that the Upanishadic principles embody the high point of Vedic religious thought? ? Do you consider that the Upanishadic principles embody the high point of Vedic religious thought? ? Comment. This is 2020. You will get an idea completely at the end of later Vedic time period. Because later Vedic time period, at the end of later Vedic time period, Upanishadic came. To understand that, we have to understand what happened before that. That's why simply they are asking, first we have to know whatever happened here. This is Rigvedic zone. This Rigvedic zone onwards, the philosophy enters. Gradually it enters into Gangetic Valley. Upanishads emerged in the Gangetic Valley. But their ideas are tracing back to early Vedic also. This Upanishadic principle is very important one. This will come with respect to Jainism, Buddhism also later. Even in fact, Ashoka also. Because Buddhism emerged in Bihar region. By the time of Buddha, already these Upanishadic principles are common in Indian society. These Upanishads already started questioning the Vedic practices or the evils of the religion. And these Upanishadic principles affected Buddhist thought also. That's why there was, when Buddhism comes, I will give you that question already asked. Do you think how Upanishadic principles affected Buddhist thought? So this Upanishad is going to affect later thoughts also. 2020 question next. 2020. Throw light on throw light on the nature of religion, throw light on the nature of religion and classification of gods mentioned in the Rig Veda. Questions are going to be very, very easy now onwards, because directly we have sufficient content also. Not much, we need not to much interpret also. We will have content, ready-made content, just you need to reproduce. Only little bit cautious is required, some kind of evidences. The more and more evidence if you give in the answer, you will get good marks. 2019 question. Examine how the transformation of the Varna system from the Rig Vedic to the later Vedic period. Examine how the transformation of the Varna system from the Rig Vedic to the later Vedic period affected the position of women. Affected the position of women. Women position, how it was. Simply, women condition during early Vedic and women condition in later Vedic. Simple. Suppose in terms of geography, women condition in northwestern part, women condition in Gangetic Valley. Simple terms. And if we go timeline, women condition in 1500 BC, women condition in 600 BC. That's what. 2017. Now this is with respect to Vedic and Harappa combination. Critically examine various views regarding the Vedic Harappan relationship. In light of the latest discoveries. Critically examine various views regarding the Vedic Harappan relationship in light of the latest discoveries. So one relationship is conflict relationship, Aryan invasion theory. Another relationship is peaceful migrations. They were not people migrated, but it is not a sudden one, it's a gradual one. Dasa, in another simple terms, how Vedic people considered Harappan people. Dasa, Dasyus, that is also later Harappan people gradually integrated with Aryan fold. Aryans also gradually integrated with Harappan ideas. And we are going to see that there was a battle of 10 kings. There was a battle on the river Ravi. This river Ravi often comes in our history. River Ravi, Harappa is located on river Ravi, Harappan city, and battle of 10 kings on the banks of river Ravi. In modern time period also, on the same banks of river Ravi, our national flag was also hoisted. When we declared January 26 is going to be Independence Day. Purna Swaraj resolution, Lahore resolution. Lahore is located on the banks of river Ravi. So this often comes river Ravi. On the banks of river Ravi, in early Vedic, Rig Vedic time period, there was a huge battle. That means battle of 10 kings. 10 kings, nothing but people from 10 tribes. And 5 tribes are Aryan tribes, 5 tribes are non-Aryan tribes. Possibly this non-Aryan tribe, some of these tribes from the Harappan people, or could be Chalcolithic people, and Neolithic people. We don't know exactly, but from the Rig Vedic text reference, there were 10 tribes. Vishwamitra, he brought some 5 non-tribes and 5 Aryan tribes, and they fought with. These things we are going to see. That means there is some kind of relationship with people who came from this area and those who are already residing. That is what later Vedic and Harappan relationship. Another is Aryan theory, Aryan invasion. But again, we are going to counter it. There is no sufficient evidence. Even though it is most popular, it is having the least evidence. 2016. So we'll write two more questions. (2016). In what way was the egalitarian character of the early Vedic society changed during later Vedic period? Egalitarian character of the early Vedic society. They are asking about the society. Society means women condition also will come, family condition also will come, education condition also will come, Varna system also will come, profession also will come. All these will come. Simply they are asking us how it transformed. So if you see UPSC syllabus, that transformation in that angle. In what way was the egalitarian character of the early Vedic society changed during later Vedic period? 2000. This is 2016 question. Now 15. 2015. This is somewhat now, particularly whatever I have given with map, this purpose. Archaeology known of no Aryans. This we have written earlier also. Archaeology known of no Aryans. Only literature. Only literature knows of Aryans. Examine critically. Archaeology known of no Aryans, only literature knows of Aryan. Simply, in other terms, what are the sources to understand Aryan? Simple. Sources to understand Vedic people. That is both early Vedic, later Vedic. So that's why whenever such question come, always try to interpret in very simple terms. So simple terms we have to give. This literature is very, very crucial because only the way window to understand Aryans is literature. Now 2014, just you see the repetition. Now you are going to see the repetition also, 2014. The Upanishadic principles embody the epitome of the Vedic thought. So now you see repetition, 2014 question was that the Upanishadic principles embody the epitome of the Vedic thought. Discuss. Same question came in the form of in a different language, 2021. That way, when it comes to Vedic period onwards, almost questions are going to be very direct. Nothing to worry at all. Just we need to know more and more facts, and we will keep collecting them. Yes. So this way questions are coming from Vedic period. So not much complicated, just straightforward, just we will take the important points and we will keep moving. So, okay. Huh. Sanju, all right? Up to here clear? Oh, okay. Dayanand Saraswati, okay. That's why to understand ancient India, because all these things we are understanding today because of modern history, because their contribution helping us to understand them. That's why we have to know something little bit about them. All right? Tomorrow we'll meet. Okay.